I can't believe I'm revealing this, but today I'm going to be revealing exactly the step-by-step on how to create a video from start to finish, to create videos that actually generate clients and not just views, without having to spend extra time in your content. Just for context, I've generated over 8 million views and I've helped a business in marketing to up to 300,000 users. And after studying hundreds of coaches, I've noticed that the ones who stay stuck all have the same problem. They don't actually know what to post. It's not that they're lazy or that they're not actually posting consistently enough, it's just that they haven't built the right system for creating content. And so in this video, I'm going to be showing you exactly what system I use, including researching your avatar, to ideating your content, to formatting it, so you always know exactly what to post. So before I show you from start to finish how to create your videos, firstly, let me paint a picture for you of where your current situation is. You currently don't know what to post, firstly, and you're just guessing. And right now, you're just waking up and you're just deciding on what videos to post. And then once you post it, you're like, okay, what's the next video? And so you don't have a structured process to post. And so what this lack of structure means is that content takes a long time and is very draining. And it causes inconsistency in your posting frequency. And there are times when you post a lot and there are times when you don't post at all because you don't have the right system behind it. And your content, because of that, it doesn't speak to a specific person. And if you're targeting everyone, you're targeting no one. And so the result is that you think that content is something that's very complicated. And right now, your content is not bringing consistent leads. And even when you do bring in leads, you're attracting broke, unqualified leads. So that when you actually manage to hop on a sales call with these leads, they always say something like, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, and you're not getting committed clients because your content is not positioned in a way that solves all these problems and pre-handles these objections way before the sales calls. And so what should you do? How do you post videos that actually consistently attract qualified people? Well, this is what the video is going to be about. And so the first step that you need to do before anything else that is completely underrated that no one does is do your ICP and market research. And this is not just something I do, this is something that big consulting companies like McKinsey and Company does. And so what they do is they actually need to define the problem clearly. And so to define the problem clearly, you actually need to know your avatar. And so I want you to think of your actual dream clients, right? The actual people that you want to serve and that actually are happy to pay you every time. And you need to find out completely from back to front their pain points, their dream outcome, and an actual 100% understanding of the avatar. And so what this means is when you start posting content and when you start doing outreach, it will ensure a product market fit because you don't want to be selling a product that no one wants to buy, right? If you're selling a coaching service, but it's not aligned and positioned in the way that the audience wants to, no matter how much you market it, no matter how much you outreach, it's not going to get anywhere, right? And so how you actually do this, right, to do this market research is you actually have conversations, right? Look in your conversations, look in your DMs, look in your calls, right? That's the first thing you can do. Find out what they're talking about. Find out their specific wording. What are their specific pain points and the wording that they use? What is their specific dream outcome that they've been saying in the text, right? Another way you could do this is also on the onboarding form, right? What I want you to do is every time you have an onboarding form, you need to ask your clients what are their specific pain points, what are their specific dream outcome. And then what you can do is you can scrape all of these information, put them onto AI, put them onto Claude Code, and you can get it to generate specific details of the pain points and dream outcome. So your actual product is actually data-based and not just something you're guessing. And so this is something that I give to my clients and a template. And if you want a template of the that you can fill out for the dream outcome and pain points, DM me. So the next step is actually figuring out which funnel you need. And in order to find out which funnel you need to understand the 3 funnels. And this is the 3 funnels that's used in all marketing. You might be already familiar, but this is top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. And what does that actually mean? So you need all these 3 different types of content in order to have the balanced page. And this is what's recommended in order to have the right ratio of what content to post. So you need these 3 funnels. So what is the first one? Top of funnel, right? So if you imagine a literal funnel, right? What's the thing that we need to actually attract all these people in the first place? You need clients in the first place. And so when you want inbounds and actual clients and actual prospects, you need to first post
top of funnel. And these are anything that actually is for attracting views, right? Its sole aim is to get views from your dream followers, and then anything that's kind of trending, right? And so an example is a trend video where it's like you start getting into. So this is my example of a top of funnel. And then the middle funnel is educating. So once you have these prospects, right, and you have these top of funnel, you can't just have them, because what you're going to end up getting is just engagement and not actual people who will buy. And so you need to now convert these people who are top of funnel into people that are middle funnel and are willing to buy your content. And you do that through educating them. And so what's an example of this? This is an example where I
the same desk telling
content.
The same story. To create a truly rich personal brand, your content has to be multi-dimensional. And what that means is you need to have different formats so your audience stays engaged.
So as you can see, that's kind of the educational middle funnel. That's how you actually educate your viewers so they see you as an authority and are not just people that watch your content, but are like, okay, maybe I'm interested in buying your content. And then the last case is bottom of funnel. These are case studies or testimonies with clients. And so an example is like this. This is me and a prospect.
Yeah.
The one thing I always say with content, work on whatever you don't have. You're just like stacking stuff on top, but the foundation is... Okay, so pretty much that's it. And so to have all these three is really important. And the general ratio that's recommended, if you don't know what to post at all, would be 40% top of funnel, 40% middle funnel, and 20% bottom of funnel. However, the big caveat is that you need to figure out which funnel you specifically need. Because the thing is, there's no point actually following these ratios if, let's say, you already have a lot of top of funnels. Let's say you're getting hundreds of thousands or millions of views, but the people who are viewing are not actually converting into buyers, then you don't need any more top of funnel. You need to be posting more middle funnel and bottom of funnel. And so I want you to look at your page and figure out which funnel do I actually need. Do the people who hop on my DMs lack trust with me? Or is it that I don't have many people who hop in my DMs in the first place? And so I want you to figure that out and then dial in whichever funnel you need. And not necessarily follow a ratio, but look at actually the funnels you specifically need. And so after that, right, now we've done the market research. Now we figured out which funnel we need. I want you to start doing ideation and finding out the format. And so when you start with a video, it's really important to spend a long time ideating. Why? Right? If you don't know of Pareto's principle, what it says is that 20% of input determines 80% of your output. And how this actually applies in terms of content, right, is that most of the time, people spend lots of time doing things that aren't actually determining the majority of the output. So people spend loads of time editing or subtitles. But the most important thing is actually the idea and packaging. Because if the idea and packaging aren't good, it doesn't matter how well your editing is. No one's going to see it. And so you need to focus on the 80% that actually determines the majority of the output. And so I want you to focus 80% on actually having an idea. And how you can do this is you have a whole day where it's literally for ideation, right? Spend hours. I spend personally a whole day on Monday. I literally, in the morning, I literally have a whole morning just to think of ideas, hooks that did well, and literally have a bank of those. Because once you have a bank of those, you're set up for the rest of the week. But if you don't even take the time to actually stop and ideate, you're not doing the actual 20% that's determining the 80% of the output. And so you're literally wasting time doing all this editing when most of the time should be spent on ideation. And once you've actually ideated what you actually want to film, right, pick your format. This is incredibly important. And so what's actually the format that you should be doing? The answer is that you should always be doubling down on what works. This is the same with the ideation, right? You always need to do the ideation and the formats that actually work and are proven formats. This again goes back to Pareto's principle, because 20% of your videos will determine 80% of your views and your actual buyers. And so focus on the winning formats and double down on it, right? And this is so incredibly important because you want to find a format that's natural to you. And if that's something that you enjoy and does well, just keep doing it. There's no reason to not continue doing it. I see a lot of people out there, they did do the format once, it does super well, but then they never go back to it for some reason. And now, competitor research, right? This is the final phase. This is where I want you to look at your competitors and see what posts are your competitors actually producing. Is the specific language they're actually using, and what formats are they specifically using? And so I want you to compile all these information, right? And I don't want you to copy them, but I want you to take into account what they're doing, what works, right? And if certain hooks does super well, literally use it, right? Steal like an artist. I talked about it in my last video. Steal like an artist. And so if you do all of that, you will be able to produce a well done piece of content. And so then you can go film and post. And you notice I don't talk about it a lot here. It's because of the 80-20 rule. The editing and the filming, it doesn't really matter. As long as the posts are intentional and you've actually spent your time ideating and picking the right format and actually doing your market research, if the video is really good, it shouldn't matter the editing. Obviously it helps, but the most important thing is to focus on what actually matters. And so there you have it. That's pretty much the whole ideation system from the start to finish of how to actually make a video that performs well, right? And how I've been able to generate 8 million views for myself and generate millions for other people. And so what I want you to take away from this is that content is an incredibly complex thing, right? You think it's just about waking up and posting whatever it is, but if it was that easy, then there wouldn't be any differentiation between the thousands of coaches out there. And so this is the level of intention and detail you're going to need to get to that next level if you actually want to hit the numbers that you want to hit. And so the last point I want to make is that, even if you have the greatest content, you need a good offer and outreach, because let's say you have all these inbound leads and you're doing well. If you're not actually able to convert them well, then again, you're not actually getting booked calls. And the most important thing is how many qualified clients that you're having every month. And so if you want to work on all of these in terms of your offer, your outreach, and your actual content, right? You don't actually know what you're posting, and you want someone to work with that can actually help you through all of that and who's already been through all this process. Book a call down with me below. But I hope you took away something valuable from this video and start posting.